Hey there, it's Gregory from Dapp University. So welcome back to this multi-part tutorial series where I'm showing you how to build ETH swap. This is an instant cryptocurrency exchange where you can buy and sell tokens at a fixed price. All right, so in this video, we're going to continue on. Go check out the previous sections in this tutorial series if you haven't already. I believe this is video number 5, where we're going to continue building out the client-side website that we worked on. And our end goal is this finished product that you see here. All right. So before we continue, if you haven't already, go ahead and click the like button down below and subscribe to the channel. That really helps these videos get found so that more people can, learn to become blockchain developers. Whenever you do that kind of stuff, it really helps the videos out for the YouTube algorithm. And also, if you like this tutorial series and you want to take the next step, then head on over to dappuniversity.com/bootcamp. All right, so let's get back into this and see where we've come so far. We have created the smart contracts for the ETH swap exchange. We created a token smart contract, and we've connected our website to the blockchain. Now we want to do is actually load these smart contracts into our app so that we can use them. All right, we want to end up building this, and we need the token smart contract, and we need the ETH swap smart contract to facilitate this, buy and sell mechanism that you see here. The client-side website that we're building right now is our front end, and we've basically finished the back end already. And what we're doing right now is essentially just, connecting the front end and the back end parts of our application. All right. So the first thing I want to do is go ahead and open up the code and go back to where we were. So this is our app.js file. We created this load blockchain data function in the last video. We loaded the account and we loaded the Ether balance of this account. All right, so we can take out this console logging statement. And we want to continue on with this. All right, we want to load up the smart contracts into this project. So the nice thing is we can just import the smart contracts directly from our Truffle project. Right, that's one of the reasons that we have this special setting inside of our Truffle project to change where the smart contracts are. Basically, we can take this ETH swap file and import it into this app.js file to use the smart contract directly with Web3.js. Okay, so basically this is just an ABI right here that you see. This is a JSON array that describes the functions of the smart contract. It just tells you how all the code works, basically. We can use this ABI to create a JavaScript version of the smart contract so that we can, call its functions, just like we did inside our tests, but inside the web application, all right, the front end application. So I show you how to import that into the project like this. You just say ETH swap. Let's do it above the nav bar, actually. All right, ETH swap. So import capital ETH, capital swap, right? Just like the smart contract. From ... means go up a directory, right? We're here, go up a directory. And then go to the ABIs folder and then take ETH swap out of it, .json, and assign it to this variable. And then likewise, we'll do the same thing for our token. So just above ETH swap, we'll import the token. Now, technically, this entire file isn't an ABI. So this isn't necessarily the best name for this, but you get the idea. Right? The ABI is technically inside this big JSON object, but that's okay. Now that we have both of these imported, we can use them inside of load blockchain data. So right here, what we want to do is create a JavaScript version of the smart contract so that we can, fetch. We can interact with it. We can call its functions like balance of. We can do all kinds of stuff. So first we'll start with the token. And the main thing we want to do is get the token balance so that we can show it on the page like this right here. All right, so we've got the ABI for the token here. But let's see how we create a JavaScript version of it. Well, we do it with the Web3 library. And if we go look at the Web3 documentation, they tell us how to create a new Web3 contract like this. All right, you just say new Web3 ETH contract. And then you need 2 pieces of information. You need the JSON interface and you need the address, all right? So I'm literally just going to copy and paste this inside of here. All right, so new Web3 ETH contract, and you need the ABI, you need the address. So we'll just say const token equals this. And we need const ABI. We need to fill that in. And then we need to say const address. We need to fill that in. All right. ABI address. So those are the two pieces of information we need in order to create a JavaScript version of the smart contract. So why is that? Well, the ABI tells us, how the smart contract works, what the functions are. Basically just tells us what the code looks like. All right. And then the address is where that smart contract is on the blockchain. So you could have multiple smart contracts that have the same ABI, but you want to tell it the address of the specific smart contract that you want to use. Okay. So I'll show you how to get all that information. We'll start with the ABI. So if you look inside this ABI's file token.json, when we imported this right here, we imported this entire JSON object. So we can literally just get the ABI right here. So ABI will just equal token.abi. And then the address will be inside of this file. So if you look inside of here, here's ABI. Let's look at the networks. All right, so there's an ABI key, there's also a networks key. So this will tell you the different networks that the smart contract's deployed to on the blockchain. And we're specifically going to look at this network. This is Ganache 5777. Like if you go to Ganache, you can see here 5777 right here. All right, it's the same ID. And you want to find the address. So you look inside this file, you find networks, this network, and then this address. All right. So we can do that like this. We can basically just say token.networks. We can literally just pass in 5777. All right. And then get the address. And then that would be the token. And we could say console log token. Go back to the web browser. And there we go. There it is. There's the Web3 contract. So now what I want to do is make this code a little more robust because this is really brittle. Like we don't want to just hard code this address here, or we don't want to hard code the network. Like if we change networks, we want this to be dynamic. All right. So what I'm going to do is actually get the network ID that we're currently connected to in MetaMask. So we do that like this. We just say network ID, load network ID, right? So await Web3 ETH net get ID. This will return 5777 because we're connected to Ganache. Say network ID. All right, and then go back to the project. Oh, sorry. Looks like we had a typo here. All right, boom, there we go. Still works. Awesome. So now what we want to do is refactor this a little more. So potentially this could be empty. So we don't necessarily want to call address. We might get undefined on this. So we'll do this. We'll say we'll refactor this to call it token data, and then we'll say if token data, because it may not exist if we change networks. All right, we'll just do something here. And if the token data exists, the address will just be token data dot address. All right. So, pause for a second and just kind of let that sink in. Then further, we don't necessarily need to do address here anymore. We can just put token data address here because that's pretty easy to read. All right. Then finally, we don't need to use this ABI variable because that's pretty self-explanatory too. And then we put that here. Okay, awesome. So finally, if the token's not deployed to the network, we say window.alert token contract not deployed to detected network. All right. So save that, go back here, and boom, there we go. We see it logged to the console. So now let's see if our alert works. Let's go to mainnet. And boom, there we go. Token contract not deployed to detected network. If we go back to Ganache. All right, click refresh. Awesome, works. Perfect. All right, so we're getting somewhere. We'll just say load token here. And now what we want to do is store the token in the state. So down here, we'll just say, let's do it like this. So just below account, say token equals this empty object, right? And then let's see here, token data, token. We'll say this set state. And then we'll say token equals token. And remember, we can do this shorthand like this. All right. And then now what we want to do is, refresh the page, make sure everything worked properly. Yep, no issues. Now what we want to do is actually fetch the balance. So we'll do that just like we did in the test, like this. We'll say let token balance. This will be the balance of the actual user who's connected. So we want to load this balance right here. So we already have this information, and now we want to do this, okay? We got the ETH balance here. So here's ETH balance. Now we're going to do token balance. Say await token, right? Because we're able to talk to the smart contract now. We can call its functions. So we say token.methods, balance of, all right, let me say this.state.account, right? We're trying to get the balance of the person who's connected to the blockchain right now with MetaMask. And then finally, we can't just do this. We also have to say call. All right. And then we'll say console log, token balance, and then token balance. We'll also set the state, this.set state, token balance, and we'll do toString. And same here. We'll do toString. All right, so let that sink in. And then finally, we're going to do a default token balance here just below ETH balance. Say 0. Okay, so let's refresh the page and see if it worked. All right, there we go. Token balance is 0. That's actually what we expect because this person hasn't purchased any tokens yet from the ETH swap exchange. So now really quickly, I want to talk about this, right? This call right here. So essentially, you have to do call whenever you're fetching information from the blockchain. There's two types of methods in Web3. There's call methods, which you can see here, and then there's send methods. Okay, so call methods, all they do is fetch information from the blockchain. They don't actually create any transactions. So you have to use call whenever you do that. All right. So whenever you do send, that's when you're actually signing transactions and putting new data on the blockchain, and you have to pay gas. So that's when you call send after those functions, which we'll see later in the tutorial. But I want to just make a mention of that while we're here. That's why you have to do call on the end of this. Right here, this just returns a function that's going to get executed with its arguments, and this actually executes it. But it just reads information. It doesn't actually write any information, right? Okay, so I'm going to take this away. So we've loaded the token. We've loaded the token balance. Next thing we want to do is load up ETH swap. Okay, so it's very similar operation. We can just literally copy and paste this and modify it. Instead of load token, we can say load ETH swap. Okay, so we don't need the network ID. We've already got that. But instead of token data, let's just change this. ETH swap data. And this will be ETH swap. All right, and this will be ETH swap. Do this and this. And then let's see here, token, this would be ETH swap. And then we don't need to load the balance. All we need to do is load the smart contract, okay? So let's see here, ETH swap data is this. All right, ETH swap, ETH swap. Let's just console log, let's do this next, sorry. ETH swap equals, empty object here. And then finally, let's just do console log this state ETH swap. Make sure it worked. All right, there we go. There's the ETH swap contract. So that's pretty easy. So, it took a lot of effort to get this going and to understand it. But, it makes it a lot faster the second time whenever you load the second smart contract, because you just follow the same pattern. All right. So that loads both smart contracts into the project. Now, the next thing we want to do is create the user interface that we see here, so that we can start filling out the information and then wire up the buy tokens function. Okay. So we're going to create this layout. All right. And then we're going to create a way to fill in the balance. And then we'll actually wire up the buy and sell. All right. So what I want to do now is go ahead and start adding more content to the page. What we'll do is create a new component. All right. And let's see here. Oops, sorry. Don't save. Let's see here. New file. We'll call this main.js, capital M. Okay, so we have app.js. Now we're going to have a main.js. And what we're going to do is just copy. Well, let's do it this way. Let's just copy the basics here. All right, and then paste it in here. We'll take out all this stuff. All right, we're just literally taking all this away, and then taking out all of this. We're just going to have a render function. All right, and then I'm going to take this H1 right here and do this, and then put it in here and take out all the rest of the code. So you just have this one div. All right, and then do this. We'll say ID equals content. All right, instead of app, we'll call this main. So this is going to be our main component. All right, and then inside of here, we'll import the main component just like we did the nav bar. Say main. All right, and we'll render this out on the page like this. Instead of hello world, we'll just say main. All right, make sure it still works. Boom, there we go. Awesome. So there's a one big reason that I want to do this. All right. So whenever we're loading up all this data here, this takes a while, and we don't want to show content on the page until it's finished. Okay, so we want to have a basic loading screen whenever the app is, loading up data. And we can do that like this. We can just tell it that it's loading, and when it is loading, we'll show a loader, and when it's not loading, we'll show the main. So we'll do that like this. All right, so let's say let content like this. We'll say if, actually let's do this. So let content and then let loading equals true, right? So if loading, and then we'll say this, else, right? So basically, we'll take this away. Well, let's do this. So if it's loading, we'll say content equals this. We're going to create a paragraph that just says, hey, I'm loading. All right. Like this. A paragraph, ID loader, class name, text center, loading, right? The next, if it's not loading, we'll say content equals the main component that we just created. So I'll just copy this, put it here. All right. So the app's loading, show the loader. If it's not loading, show the content. All right. And then in React, we can choose curly braces and put the content here. All right, so now when I refresh the page, I should just see the loader because it's, just hard-coded to true. All right, so yeah, there's the loader. And if we make it false, all right, boom, there we go, hello world. So now we take the next step and actually store the loader value into state. So we can go down here and say loading. All right, say true. And then instead of this loading, we can say, this state.loading, save it, go to the page, loading is true, all right? We can also say false, and it'll show the page, awesome. And let's do true again. So we want the default state to be that loading is true. So we want to tell the app when loading has finished. So we do that right here. Basically, once all this stuff's done, we just do this, set state, loading, false. So now it'll update dynamically, and there you go. Yeah, boom, there you go. So you'll see the loader for just a second, and whenever all the blockchain data is loaded, it'll show hello world on the page. Awesome. So that's a really great step in the right direction. That's going to help us build this application in a much better way. And what we'll do now is continue on creating the layout inside this main component. So we're kind of done inside this file for a little while. We're going to concentrate on this to build the layout. Now inside of this main.js component, what I'm going to do is go ahead and just paste in some predefined template code to get started really fast. It would take a really long time to code all this out step by step, and it's really just HTML code. I don't want the focus of this tutorial to be, how to write HTML. I want it to be more about blockchain. So I'm going to just take this out and then paste this in. You can check out this point in the project in the link in the description below to get this if you want to. So I'll just paste this in like this. All right. And then really quickly just see what was generated. All right, boom, there we go. So here's our basic template. It's looking a lot closer to what we see here. Just a few things we'll need to adjust, but you can see basically, we got a card here and the card body, and then we've got the input for the balance. We'll wire this up in a second. The input for the output value and the exchange rate, and then the button to swap the tokens. All right. And then we've got a form that shows us how to do that. All right. That allows us to do that. So let's just remove some of this space. All right. It's looking better. Click save. So the next thing we want to do is go to the app.js file, the main. Yeah. Let's go to app.js and let's make it wider. All right. It's looking kind of scrunched right now. We want to make it wide like this. So we'll go to the, this main element here. We'll say style, max width, 600 pixels. Okay, just like that. So that didn't quite work. We need to do one more thing. Instead of deflex center, let's do MR auto. And boom, there we go. It's looking a lot closer. All right, so the same width. We won't do these buy and sell buttons yet. We're just going to focus on the buy part. Okay, and then what we want to do now is show the token images. All right, so what I'm going to do now is pull the images for the cryptocurrencies into the project. You can just download these images from my GitHub repository. I've created these locally on my computer. So you could just basically clone either the completed project or the link in the description below for this part of the project. But I would just copy and paste the files into your project inside of the source directory. So inside source, I'm just going to drag the ETH logo in like this. All right. And then I'm also going to drag in the token logo like this. So source token logo. So here we go. Here's the token logo. And then here's the ETH logo. All right, boom. So let's import those into the project. Inside the main.js component, we're going to say token logo. So inside main.js, we're going to import them both like this. Boom. Token logo. All right. And then ETH logo like this. Okay. And we'll put them inside of the project. Let's see here. Image. Let's see here. Let's find the first one. So here's the one for Ether. We'll just use some curly braces and say ETH logo. And then let's say source token logo. Save that. Go back to the page. And boom, there we go. There's the Ethereum logo and there's the Dapp token logo. So we got the exchange rate here. We got the input. Now let's put the balances in. So we're going to take the Ether balance and the token balance. So we can just pass those values down. We've already saved them inside of low blockchain data. So here inside our main component, just like we did with the nav bar, we pass down the account. We can say, Ether balance. Pass it down like this. Say Ether balance. equals this state.eth balance. And also for token balance equals this state token balance. All right. So now I'm going to format this code a little bit like this. Break it up into multiple lines so that it's easier to read. And there we go. So now inside of main, we can just format the balances and put them on the page like this. Let's see here. Let's put balance. So this is for the ether balance. We'll say, let's just do the balance for now. Just.props.ether balance. Save it. And looks like it didn't quite work. All right, so let's see what's going on here. Oh, I see what it is. I said ether balance. It should be eth balance. Okay, awesome. So we see the balance. It's not formatted correctly, so let's format it. It's currently displaying the way value. Let's actually display the ether value or eth value. So we just use our helper, web3 utils from way, right? Like we did in the test. And we do it like this. Boom. Window.web3 utils from way, this.props.token balance. Actually, this should be ether balance, eth balance. Eth balance, and then ether. All right. All right, there we go. It's formatted. Now we can do the same for the token balance. Let's just do this again. And let's do token balance here. And boom, there we go. It's still 0. That's what we expect. So we haven't purchased any tokens yet. But when we do buy them, we'll see that go up. Okay, so the next thing that we want to do is wire up the user interface so whenever we actually do this input, it shows the amount of tokens that we want to purchase here. It does the conversion for us because, we see 1 ETH equals 100 Dapp. So we'll do that like this. We want to do an on-change handler like this. So basically, like, I'll show you. We go here and find the input. So just below text, we can say on change. And this is what's going to trigger anytime, we change the value of that input. Say event. Oops. I'm going to say console. I'm just going to say changing. All right, so you'll see what that happens. Oops, looks like something went wrong here. Need another curly brace. All right, so now if I change this, 1, 2, 3, you can see this changing happens. So basically, whenever this changes, we're going to calculate the number of tokens and show it here. See, that's what the finished product does. So it goes 1, 2, 3, and we see the output change like this. Okay. So basically, you're saying if you put in 1 ether, we want to see that you're going to purchase 100 tokens. Input, output. Right. Here's the conversion, and then you would swap to purchase that many. So whenever it changes, we're going to keep track of the value. So we do that with something called a ref in React. We just say ref equals input. I hate it when it does that. That's really annoying. I wish Sublime Text wouldn't do that. Say this input equals input. Okay. And then we say const ether amount equals this input value to string. Okay. And then we'll say this set state output is equal to ether amount times 100. All right. Then we'll say this console log this state output. Okay. So let's go here and say 1, and then it kind of bombs here. So it doesn't know what state is. So we need to set the state object just like we did in the parent component. All right. So we're going to have a special state just for this one like this. So just like we did in the other component, say output is 0 by default. And then we'll do, 1, 2. All right, there we go. It's changing. We see it multiplies it to 100, 1200, 300, yada, yada, yada. Awesome. Very cool. Okay, awesome. So now let's see here. Let's show that value in the output. Okay, so basically the output is a disabled form field that doesn't take any, human input. And we can just assign the value like this. So we'll go here down to the output. See, it's disabled. And just above that, we'll say value equals this.state.output. And we can remove this console logging statement here. Go back to the app. Say 1. Yep, there we go. So there's a preview of how many we'll purchase. Awesome. So let's remove this console log here. And then let's actually wire it up to make the purchase. So how we're going to do this is with something called onSubmit. This is going to be a handler that's going to fire whenever the form submits. So up here, we'll just say onSubmit equals event. And then we'll say event prevent default, because we don't want the page to change whenever the form submits. I'm going to say console log purchasing tokens. All right. And then let's just do it here. Click swap. And you can see purchasing tokens, right? Log to the console. So it's not doing anything yet. We're going to wire this up. So essentially what we're going to do is call the smart contract function that does the buy tokens function that we created, in the older videos when we did it in the test suite. Now we want to do that here. But we don't really want to write the code for that inside this particular, part. We want to actually add it here instead of at.js, because we have access to the smart contract inside of here, right? So essentially what we'll do is just create a new function that wraps the smart contract function like this, all right? So just above render, below the constructor. Well, actually, let's do it above the constructor. I'll do it here. We'll say buy tokens. And this one will look a little bit different from our other functions. We'll say equals ether amount. All right, and we'll say what you want to do is call the function a lot like we did with get balance. All right, so await, token methods balance of. So we'll say this.state.eth swap, right? That's the smart contract, okay, right here. And we'll say methods. We'll say buy tokens, all right? And then we'll say send, all right? So remember I said that earlier? I talked about call methods in Web3 versus send methods. Well, this is a send method, okay? So go back to Web3 documentation. See send. All right, this is how you do a method that creates a transaction. You have to tell it who's calling it. You have to tell it the value if you're sending an Ethereum, and et cetera, et cetera. So we'll say send. We'll pass in the user. Say value. We'll say from this.state.account. And we'll pass in the amount of Ethereum that they want to send. So we'll say value equals ether value. So we're going to put in, ether amount, right? So ether amount, we're going to pass this into the function and send it in here. So when this happens, we're going to say this set state loading true. All right. And then essentially this is going to be asynchronous. So we want to wait for it to finish. We'll say on transaction hash, pass in the hash. And then do an arrow function here. It's getting kind of long, sorry. We'll set the loading to false. So we'll say this, set state loading false. Okay. So we could probably do this or something. Make this a little more readable. Looks kind of silly too, but you get the idea. All right. So it's working. All right. So actually, you could just do this as a one-liner. Let's do that. That might be a little cleaner. See if it still compiles. No, it didn't work. Let's just go back and... Sorry, everybody. All right, awesome. Good enough for now. Actually, you know what? I'm going to make this all one line. This is starting to get kind of funny. It's kind of long, but at least it's correct. All right, so sorry about that little detour. So now what we want to do is pass this function down to the component. How do we do that? Well, we go down here and we say buy tokens equals this.buy tokens. All right. And then now go to main.js and inside this function, we're going to actually purchase the tokens because we have access to that now. So let's calculate the amount of ether we want to buy. We say let ether amount. Say ether amount equals this input value to string. All right. That's this input right here. We said, you know, this, right? We take that value and we say ether amount equals window.web3.utils two-way, right? Ether amount ether. And then we say this.props.buy tokens and then pass in the ether amount. And now when we submit this form, we should see a MetaMask confirmation pop up. Click sign it and it should purchase. So before we do this, I hope it works. But take note, the Ethereum balance is 97. The token balance is 0. So let's go buy, 200 tokens. So we should see our ETH balance go down to like 95 point something and our token balance go up to 200. So let's click swap. And I had a MetaMask confirmation pop up off screen. Click confirm. And boom, there we go. Awesome. So I've got 200 tokens and my ether balance went down. So it is working. Awesome. So congratulations. We've come really far in this tutorial series so far. We've got a way to purchase tokens with the client-side website. You can see the rate calculation here before you purchase. It's a really nice user experience. You can just sign the transaction, actually buy them like this. So in the next video, we're going to create a way to sell tokens. All right, we'll be able to, kind of bounce back and forth between a buy form and a sell form, and we'll be able to swap them. Okay, awesome. So again, if you like this series so far, don't forget to click the like button down below and subscribe to the channel. And if you want to take that next step to mastering blockchain, then head on over to dappuniversity.com/bootcamp. All right, until next time, thanks for watching Dapp University.